for their lives. Another dream, which was very clear, is which there was a natural event or a phenomenon that occurred that caused the earth to shift. I don't know if that event was just an earthquake or if it was from an asteroid or a meteorite hitting the earth, but whatever occurred caused the entire earth to shake. And then moments later, a wave arose from the ocean, and this wave was hundreds of feet tall. My view on this event pulled out of the earth, and I was able to look down, and I saw that this wave was so big that it covered the entire east coast of the United States, all the way to the Appalachian Mountains, and covered the entirety of Florida up to the Panhandle.
All this water around me. I'm in a beach. There's people having fun. Just people just kind of like, tanning outside and all these things. And all of the sudden, I look out and I see a storm that is coming into the ocean. And all of a sudden, I hear this really loud shofar blast, like a trumpet, really, really loud. The sky turned black, and this wave came up, an unusually enormous wave. It was so huge, and it kept coming and coming and getting bigger. It was like hundreds of feet high into the air. I dare say a mile. And it just came and it started crashing against the shoreline. And again, I heard the trumpet blast again. This happened like 7 times in my dream. It was 7 different shofar blasts and 7 very large waves. The waves were very dark. The water was very, very, very
protected by the eastern shore. The eastern shore, if something came across, would take the first brunt, and then there would be lots of flooding to where I'm living. But I want to call the saints to pray, because I believe a tsunami on the east coast of the United States is part 2 to what I saw 2 years ago. And how soon, I don't know. I mean, the dream about...
We went back up to the top of that building, and you could see back behind the mountains this large wave in the background coming, and it kept hearing his voice saying, "It's coming, get out, get your paper, get out."
If you could compare it to how large it was, how big, like to a building.
I saw it over a mountain.
Okay.
Behind a mountain. It was above the mountains. Okay. That's how high the wave was. So, I mean, everybody knows how big a mountain is. I mean, even if it's just a small mountain, that's huge.
Okay.
And you could see it, and that was in the background. It hadn't even reached the mountains yet. And it blocked out the sun and everything. And
pouring out of the building, and tsunami, tsunami, everyone's yelling tsunami. I then felt like the dream was sped up to show me the overarching picture of the dream, which essentially I was given a view of further away from the building, and I could see this wall, mountain high wall of water coming at the shore and at the building.
It was the most horrific thing. I can hear this terrible sound as if the earth is literally cracking, like the mantle of the earth is breaking apart. And now I'm looking back over my shoulder again, and this giant wall of water, just an enormous tsunami, hundreds of feet tall, coming up over the top of this mountain. And again, everybody's trying to run. Then these, what felt like large hands, come down underneath my arms and lift me up into space, and now I'm looking down upon the earth. And here's an important part about this entire thing. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what would happen if an asteroid of that size were to impact the earth. But what I saw...
I do not know what will cause these waves, but I do have a few clues.
I once had a dream to where the Assyrian army was being raised up again through statues and spiritual means. So even though I have never seen horns, asteroid vision, or earthquakes, what I have seen is attacks from communist forces like Chinese and the Russians, as well as Muslim extremists and militants.
Why do they threaten vast Russia with nuclear weapons while they are only a small island? Why do they play games? Another option is to plunge Britain into the depths of the sea using Russian underwater robotic drone Poseidon. The explosion of this torpedo close to Britain's shores will raise a giant wave, a tsunami up to 500 meters. This tidal wave is also a carrier of extremely high doses of radiation. Surging over Britain, it will turn what is left of them into radioactive desert.
Well, retire full.
According to Jonathan Kleck, if you fold the $100 bill in the same way as you folded the previous $20 bill with the 9/11 symbolism, it actually shows nuclear devastation and then some kind of tidal wave flooding through New York as seen in the movie The Day After Tomorrow. You can see it on screen now. Here's the flip side of the $100 bill, which, according to Kleck, shows some kind of missile hitting the ocean with this plume surrounding it, causing some kind of nuclear devastation, which then leads to the mass flooding of New York City. Then apparently, according to Kleck, if you go back and look at the $10 bill, fold it over in a similar way, this shows the missile launch of that apparent nuclear missile that causes the devastation and the flood. The bill also contains these Liberty bells in this magnetic strip down the middle, which when you move the note around, the bells themselves move and they ring, which Kleck claims is a sign that they're ringing the alarm bells for this future devastation in America.